Psychosomatic illness is a medical fact. Mainstream medicine accepts without question that some people can make themselves sick through the power of the mind. So could the reverse be true? Are we capable of psychosomatic wellness? Can the same mind that creates illness also be used to heal?
All I remember thinking was, my son has to be all right. I don't care what happens to me as long as he's not hurt.
So I got out of the car. Well, first I looked at my mom, and I was just like totally shocked. I just didn't expect it.
I lost consciousness at the time of the impact, and I had a very intense near-death experience at that time. I went through the standard phases of going through the tunnel of light. Then I went into a beautiful garden.
And I was just like, what do I do? What do I do? And I just yelled, my mom's name to her. And I was just shaking her, just wake up, come on, wake up.
And then suddenly my father was there, and he had been dead for about 10 years. And I said, oh, I'm so glad to see you. And he said, well, I'm glad to see you too, but you can't stay. And I said, no, I've gotten here, I'm not leaving. And he said, no, you have to go back because there's a purpose you haven't fulfilled. And as he was saying that, my son was reviving me, and I could feel myself being pulled back into my body. And he brought me back.
That was in 1982. And from that day to this, Gari Carter has felt that her near-death experience was a turning point. She was being allowed to come back for a reason that she could barely know as she clung to life.
I kept demanding to see my mother, and my father finally said no, that she didn't have a face anymore, and he was not going to let me see her.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say her injuries were probably 9 to 10 in severity. So certainly very high levels of injury.
My eyes were sewn shut because I had a lot of cuts there. I couldn't talk because I had a tracheotomy. I couldn't smell because I didn't have a nose. I couldn't talk because I didn't have a mouth.
This patient, like many others who have facial injuries, no matter how well the surgeons repair them, they never regained exactly their original normal appearance.
Before that, I had been a model, and people always looked at me with admiration. And after the accident, without a nose and without a mouth and without a face, people looked at me with looks of horror. And I felt very guilty for upsetting them. And I wanted enough of a face to be able to blend into a crowd again and not scare people.
Her surgeons warned that the reconstruction process would be long and arduous, requiring at least 10 separate surgeries. After the first operation, the pain was unbearable.
It was just horrible to see, my mom just sitting there in agony, just unable to do anything, and just absolutely in pain.
Intense pain, like a symphony, I remember. It was always there, always intense. It was just horrible. It was a dreadful, dreadful time.
The second surgery was even more excruciating. On the eve of her third surgery, Gary's dread intensified.
And I was scared. I was really scared of the pain. And this very pushy friend called me up and said, I've heard about these wonderful pain control tapes you might like to use since you have all these years of surgery ahead of you.
The tapes came from the nonprofit Monroe Institute, an education and research facility in Virginia. Here, sound waves are used to affect brain waves, often with amazing results.
We teach people how to use the power of their mind, how to use this power to promote healing processes, to promote optimal learning, to gain control of their life and their perceptions as they move through life.
The Institute was founded on the principle that focused states of consciousness can be achieved by listening to combinations of sounds that alter brainwave patterns. In this focused state, pain can be eliminated. It's called the hemisync method.
We put one sound in one ear and another sound in the other ear, and when these sounds work together inside the brain, they alter your state of consciousness. They actually change the brain waves inside your head.
It's not subliminal. The tones are a part either of music or of ocean waves, depending on the different tapes.
For Gari, the tapes had an amazing effect. Her pain threshold changed so dramatically, She asked if she could listen to a tape in the operating room.
I took the tapes in with me for the surgery to make my nose, and I told Dr. Edgerton if the tapes worked fine, but if not, I'd like my codeine right away, please. And he smiled and he said he thought it would be an interesting experiment, and all the doctors and nurses were quite interested as well.
And some of these operations, of course, can be very painful for a time. But with the aid of the tapes, even going down to the operating room area with the tapes playing, she really seemed to deal with the anxiety issues and the post-operative pain issues very well. And I think a lot of the staff were very impressed by how much these tapes helped her.
I was relaxed and happy going down into the operating room. It was like going to a fun party instead of the shakes and the queasiness I would have had before.
In Gary's case, it was very clear she did not request very much anesthetic when she was using the Monroe tapes.
The feeling when somebody's cutting on you when you use these tapes is one of being disassociated. You feel the touching and the pulling or pushing as they're cutting or stitching, but there's no pain associated with it. It's just like a very gentle touch.
Where you hypnotize somebody and you tell them you're going to burn them, but you actually reach out and just lightly touch them, the body believes so strongly that it's going to be burned that it will be blistered. Well, you want to use that same kind of mind power to make the body believe so strongly that it's going to get healthy and it's going to have less pain, that it actually kicks in and provides all those things that are necessary for that to happen.
I had no pain after that surgery whatsoever. I used the Monroe audio tapes, and there was minimal swelling and bruising, and I went home from the hospital in 2 days instead of 10.
The whole theory opens a lot of interesting possibilities. Well, we are just in the very early stages of understanding brain function.
Gary continued to use her tapes through 7 more operations. Today, she looks forward to a pain-free life and feels her purpose now is to help others through lectures and her book, Healing Myself.
We truly are all one, and we're all here to help each other. And that's what I want this book to do for other people.
I've been blessed to have the face that I have, but I think in a way Mommy's more blessed to have what's happened to her, because it's changed her and it's given her a whole new outlook. And this is only a skin for me now. It used to be an identity, and now my identity's in here. It's not here.
I guess what really had an effect on me was seeing my mother utilizing these tapes and utilizing the potential within herself to heal. I thought, wow, if that's possible, it really opens the door for so many more things.
The meaning of life to me before the accident was totally based on outer appearances. Now, in my second life, I look at the light bulbs. I don't look at the lampshades as I did in my first life.
The Monroe Institute is not suggesting that every patient should forego anesthesia in the operating room, but they do believe that as long as conventional medicine is standing by, alternative therapy should be given a chance to work first.